Happy New Year, everybody! It's always great to start a new year fresh, and hopefully we'll finally be free of that.
New cases rose again today to 20,794.
Nope, we're all gonna die. But who cares? It's a new year and I've got plenty of great things planned out, and today we're finally doing my next big project. As a channel called Yoshi Player for years on end, it's time we dive into the topic everybody's been wanting me to do. So sit back and get some food. We're finally gonna review all the Yoshi games. What the? Roz Trump? Where have you been?
Nice to see you too, numbnuts. Well, ever since the 2020 election, I've been off enjoying some peace and quiet. Trolling can be tiring sometimes, but I decided to pay you a visit because I'm gonna encourage you to review your most ambitious project.
I was just about to do that. I'm reviewing every Yoshi game. It's what everybody's been asking me to do.
Ha! Yeah, right. We all know everyone really wants you to review the Loud House movie, even from people who can't listen to you straight.
No, I'm not doing that. It's not worth the risk.
Perhaps it could be a way to send off your time with the show? Face it, everyone wants you to review it. Besides, didn't you say on Twitter that you regret making your terrible Loud House videos and that you wanted to give the show a proper send-off?
Yeah?
Then do it! Besides, you'll see how the true power of a fantastic movie can be.
Fine.
Enjoy it! I'll be watching you, old friend.
Well, I hope most of you can listen up, but I don't blame you for stopping now. I don't think the Loud House needs an introduction, but if you're new here, or if you've never seen the show before, it's a cartoon that started in 2016 on Nickelodeon, centering on a boy named Lincoln Loud, a middle child among 10 sisters. It was all about their wacky misadventures and trying to deal with everyday stuff as a chaotic family, and if you're a veteran to my channel, you'll know that this show was kind of a big deal for me during the late 2010s because I used to love this show. I did a series of videos reviewing every episode from every season, and they're not very good looking back. I did a podcast show dedicated to talking about new episodes, which was just really awkward. And I used to turn into a blithering man baby when the show lost a fucking KCA award to SpongeBob. Yes, that actually happened, but we don't talk about that, so why'd I even bring it up? As the years went on, the show slowly started to lose sight of its roots, going from a simple and likable show about a big family struggling to live everyday lives to an exacerbated, boring dumpster fire that hardly represents what it used to be. Seasons 1 through 3 I can still go back and watch and enjoy, but everything after that I can do without. Oh yeah, my feelings towards Season 3 have actually gotten better over time, though that might be because it's a godsend compared to Seasons 4 and 5. Every once in a while the show can still turn out a hidden gem, but they're often buried within bland or downright frustrating episodes. But during that time period, I vaguely remember that a movie was being made, first announced in 2017 and is finally here in 2021 as a Netflix original. Even as someone slowly drifting away from the show, I had a singe of hope that maybe, just maybe, the movie might actually be good. After all, it's not like a bad show can't turn out a good movie, just look at Teen Titans Go. I don't like the show itself, I find it mildly annoying, but the movie came out and it was pretty good. It's funny, clever, and has an understanding of the show's poor reception and makes fun of itself all throughout. So there was some hope that this movie might actually be good. So was it?
Of course it was.
Yeah, not exactly gonna listen to the same turd who always says Bubsy is amazing.
Heh, you can always disagree, but acknowledge I'm objectively correct.
I think I prefer you being gone. So the film opens up and I'm going to be completely honest throughout the entirety of this review, regardless if it's positive or negative, but I actually really like this opening montage. It shows how Lynn Sr. and Rita met and how the family grew up to what it is today. Is it corny? Yeah, but it's effective. I like the song they made for it, it's cute, and does a good job welcoming fans of the show and introducing newcomers to this family. It kind of brings me back to that warm and cozy feeling I had when first watching the show, a time when it was just simple. The actual movie begins with Lincoln teaching Lily how to survive in a big family now that she's growing up. Again, this is really sweet. Lincoln and Lily are known to have a strong relationship in the show, so to see that represented at the start of this movie is really charming. I hope you enjoy it while it lasts, because the movie forgets about it for a while, and when I say a while, I mean the rest of the Eventually we get some more usual Loud House antics, and I'm saying that in a positive way, by the way, until the parents remind everybody that they've got activities on for today. And as good parents would, considering they've handled these situations multiple times in the past, they carefully manage these these things to balance out.
It's a ding-ding disaster! What do we do?
Yeah, that seems about right. What else did I expect from the same parents who kicked their own son out believing him to be bad luck? Disowning their kids, maybe? Considering the writers worked on the latest seasons of Fairly Odd Parents, I guess dumb parents are a common thing in Nickelodeon shows nowadays. So while the parents proceed to have a literal meltdown for no reason, what the fuck is he doing? Lincoln is able to get everyone ready. We get another montage that plays out and Sam is there. Remember the time the show subtly built up the revolution that Luna is bisexual? We got a great episode about their relationship growing, and everyone was praising it from left and right? Apparently Nickelodeon doesn't, so they just throw her in as a reference, not even establishing that she's Luna's girlfriend to newcomers, even if she's one of the lights on this movie's disgusting tunnel. After that, the Louds go out for dinner, where it's apparently established that the sisters are celebrities?
She embalmed my Uncle Jack! I wish my family was as talented as they are!
Well, I guess really loud music hits differently now. Seriously, when the hell was it established in the show that the sisters are celebrities? And before you say, well, maybe this movie is its own thing and isn't canon to the show, except it is. The show writers confirmed that the film canonically takes place between seasons 4 and 5. This is especially jarring considering when the movie was first announced, they said it was going to be a separate thing from the show, leading me to believe the movie started off with this mindset before deciding last minute to be canon, which as you'll see will be a continuing problem throughout the movie. And I refuse to believe this popularity started the very day they did all this shit. Either this happened days after, or Royal Woods is a complete bore-fest that they'll suck up to anyone that gets some recognition. Maybe it explains why the town is so obsessed with soccer like in that season 4 episode.
Enough loudness! Scoot out!
You read my mind, Scoops, and while you're at it, you could go to the Owl House instead, because as we all know, owls are better than louds.
Fear not, maiden! Hooty, the guardian owl of Gahoot, has protected you once more! Gahoot!
He's such a good boy.
Hey! Hey guys! I want to be in the photo! No trophy, no photo!
Aww. I genuinely feel bad for Lincoln here. How surprising is that? You know what, despite some of my jokes, I think the first 10 minutes of this movie have actually been pretty good. It takes me back to the show's glory days. Simple everyday life and the family trying to handle mundane tasks but exacerbating it to a T. A situation where the characters are the ones driving the story. For a while, this felt like the Loud House I used to love. The small glimpse of hope that maybe this movie might actually be really good.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Your ears do not deceive you, people. This movie, for whatever reason, is a musical.
Why?
Listen, I'm no musical expert, but even I can't deny the songs in this movie are absolute rubbish. They're awkwardly put in without any subtle build-up or natural flow before they begin, and don't exactly advance the story in a decent manner. It feels like the movie just has songs for the hell of it, but worse is that they just sound bad. I'll go over each song when I get to them, but Lincoln is pitch corrected, and it's blatantly obvious when you listen to it. Loud House has had songs before, I understand, but for a feature-length film they could have at least gotten a singer to imitate Lincoln's voice, not desperately try to give off the impression that his voice actor has a decent musical performance. Because he doesn't. Either get proper singers for your musical, or don't make it a musical period. You would have missed out on nothing by removing the songs. Anyway, after that complete nothingness, Lincoln tells his best friend Clyde about the predicament he's in.
You've read every single Ace Sappy comic twice. You're the 5th best junior magician in Royal Woods. And that history report you wrote, it was like I was at the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Well, blow me away, Clyde is literally doing my job right now. What's even the point of me reviewing this movie if my boy Clyde is pointing out how pointless Lincoln's conflict is?
Oh, and you can sing.
No, he can't, don't lie. I find it really funny that Clyde points out these traits Lincoln has had for years, yet Lincoln acts like it's something anyone can do. But guess what? The same thing can be said for his sisters. Is Royal Woods that boring that these basic activities can turn you into a celebrity? This whole scene hinges on making Lincoln feel like he's inconfident in himself, even though at the beginning he already had confidence. You know, the man with the plan, that's his whole shtick. Yet the movie seems to forget about it constantly to force in this lame conflict for Lincoln that was actually already done in season 1, even though the episode was terrible, so let's forget about it for now. Clyde tells Lincoln about how his skill in baking was passed down through generations by his grandmothers, encouraging Lincoln to find more about his ancestors, which somehow leads to a pointless scene of Lisa putting Lynn Sr. through tests just to get his saliva.
You couldn't have just made him spit in a cup?
Cut her some slack, Lincoln. It's not like your sisters will get anything interesting to do later on. After finding out their ancestors lived in Scotland, don't bother questioning it, it's not worth the headache. The Louds decide to take a plane trip to Scotland by parachuting into France. And then all these other countries until they finally get to Scotland. Why didn't they just jump out of a plane to Scotland? So we can have this Disney Channel style pop song in the background? Once they do get to Scotland, the movie feels the need to introduce this completely pointless subplot that adds nothing, where Laurie's boyfriend Bobby has to try and get to her in Scotland. This was likely added as a way to satisfy those fans of the spin-off show. Or maybe it was just an excuse to suck in all those hardcore Ronnie Ann fans. Even though I hate her. Although I will admit, this bit made me laugh.
Wait! What was I thinking? You can't ride a bike to Scotland without a helmet.
It's stupid, but it has a decent build-up and a decent punchline. Something I can't say about a good majority of the jokes in this movie, because most of them have this annoying tendency to explain the punchline right after it's shown. If there's one thing this movie lacks, it's the show Don't Tell Monica, and believe me, it gets much worse later on.
Hi, Scott! Hey, Scott!
Why are you calling everyone Scott?
We're in Scotland, duh.
That was so unfunny, even I couldn't laugh at it.
Why, do you normally laugh at bad humor?
Yeah, that's why I laugh at you.
Fuck you. Oh yeah, Lenny ends up meeting this random boy that she falls in love with, which, considering this movie is canon to the show, would make that cheating! The only consistent thing about the Loud House is how inconsistent its continuity is.
Wow, blow my bagpipes.
Enter one of the only good parts of the movie, Angus, played by David Tennant. Maybe it's just because I love David in pretty much anything he's in, but his character is probably the only consistently likable one. Sure, there's not a lot to him, and he primarily serves as a tool to advance the story, but he's nice, helpful, and has a sweet admiration towards the family. I eventually like the relationship he has with Lincoln, feeling more like a father-son dynamic in which he helps Lincoln restore the town back to normal and is always there to help him out when he feels sad. Kind of ironic that Angus is a better father figure in this scenario than Lincoln's actual father, but I'm not keeping track. Then we got our second song, performed almost entirely by Tennant. I won't argue he has a good singing voice most of the time, and the song isn't even that good, but it's still a lot better than... yeah, that. I just find it funny how the song sounds more Irish than Scottish, however.
This town is named for you, yes. This town is named for you. This town is named for you, yes. This town is named for you.
It's also here where we're introduced to who's obviously going to be the film's main antagonist, Morag, and what the hell is up with her design? I know I haven't touched on the animation yet, trust me, I will, but this looks bad. They gave her a massive protruding butt for one thing, and her legs aren't even in line with her actual torso. That might have been done to give her balance, but it just looks so silly. Morag is the castle's caretaker, who loves to have peace and quiet, thus she suddenly gets irritated by the Louds' presence, especially since they literally start fucking with the castle's interior. I thought I wasn't supposed to feel this bad for the villain this quickly, but this movie set a new record, I guess. They're finally shown their ancestors, and I would make a joke about how they look almost identical to the current family, but instead I'm more curious as to why there's a Rita ancestor when she said she was born in Royal Woods. Angus shows Lincoln the room he's staying in, and the movie literally can't get away with the whole show Don't Tell Monica at this point.
The boy in the painting was the Duke. The boy in the painting with the white hair was the Duke. The boy in the painting with the white hair that had 10 sisters.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
I know this is a kids movie, but that does not mean you need expository dialogue. Kids are a lot smarter than you think, movie. And they'll probably end up smarter than whoever. While that's going on, Angus decides to show some of the sisters. There's a dragon in this universe. A dragon. In a mostly grounded show.
Oh, no.
Look, I know I've made a lot of complaints in the past whenever the show decided to add stuff that was too out of the ordinary. Let me try to rephrase this argument better so people don't throw more shit at me. I'm fully aware that Loud House has had weird out-of-place stuff as early as season 1, usually sci-fi related stuff thanks to Lisa, but the thing is, those parts are usually treated as cheap throwaway jokes, something you're not meant to think about and just laugh it off as quickly as it's forgotten. And when you consider the show's mostly grounded story and lore, it wasn't really a problem. Nowadays they can be used for the actual story, and this is where the problem becomes apparent, like how one episode uses time travel to resolve a character's problems, or ghosts being the conflict of an episode. Oh. And it's especially baffling how when these elements are introduced, everyone isn't freaked out about it. They just welcome it with open arms. How is this suddenly treated as an everyday thing? It's like the Ice Age movies all over again. That would be like if the Peanuts movies suddenly had a magic crystal that can control animals. It'd be stupid, wouldn't it? During dinner, Angus tells Lincoln that the only way for him to become the Duke is by making things better for everyone. But who has time for that? Because Lucy manages to summon her ancestor from the dead. The next day, Lincoln goes out to help the town, all the while singing another song. And yes, it's painfully pitch corrected like the first one, yet somehow it sounds even worse. It doesn't even sound like a proper song fit for a movie, more like a K-pop music video made to promote the movie. I can hardly hear what's being sung, it's just background noise at this point. But nothing goes according to plan because Morag states that Lincoln's family is only staying there for a week. So, in a pure example of character assassination, Lincoln tries to convince his family to permanently stay in Scotland, despite some of them having jobs, friends, lives to live back at home, and he does this in a downright manipulative way.
We should just enjoy our vacation and go back home to our house with one bathroom.
You're a bitch! You're a bitch!
At this point, I know what the movie's setting up. Lincoln's gonna do some questionable things, and by the end, he learns his lesson. It's okay for someone to do some questionable things throughout their arc, but you still need to make them likable characters. Have a sense of innocence to them where he thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's actually not. Take Hercules, for example. He was looked down on by everybody around him and felt he had no place in the world, yet by managing to defeat monsters, not only did he prove he's a hero, but that he has a purpose. Even after all the fame and attention, he's still fought monsters to protect everyone. He cares about more than just himself, and the goal of his arc is to learn that fame and fortune don't make you a true hero. Although the Loud House movie does a good job making me feel bad for Lincoln at the start, having him manipulate his family to stay in Scotland for his own benefit was when I lost that care for him. His jealousy gets the better of him, and it turns him into a selfish, smug asshole. And no, I don't care he learns his lesson by the end, because after everything he did beforehand, combined with how tacky the moral is, it's still not enough for me to give him support anymore. Lincoln can be happy as a duke, but he shouldn't be this selfish. It's not as bad as Oscar from Shark Tale, but what a piss poor way to make me lose empathy for someone I used to like. So the family decide to stay in Scotland forever. Guess you can say goodbye to your girlfriend and career choices, Luna, all thanks to your selfish little brother.
Thank you.
Oh, shut up.
For 4 centuries, our loch has been without a duke. Ever since the first Louds broke our hearts and decided to sail away forever.
I cannot believe my ears.
Then just go down there and tell them what really happened. So after Lincoln is unjustifiably crowned the Duke, we get a recreation of the show's intro. And I know I've been ignoring it for a while, but I think it's time to address the red elephant in the room. The animation is bad. If there's one thing I can still appreciate about the show, it is the animation. It's simple, but that's its best attribute. The characters are well designed, the movements are more natural, and it never tries to be ambitious. This is a simple show with simple art style, and that's what made it so appealing. The movie tries to take a more cinematic approach, which is fine, but now the tweening looks unnatural. Part of me feels like this movie wanted to be 2D animated, but they would have cost too much money, so they had to animate it with rigs just like the show. But now it looks too jittery and strangely choppy at times. It's even worse when they try to do perspective shots, despite these characters clearly not being designed with 3D in mind. I don't mind Nickelodeon hiring a new studio to animate it, because trying to get the same people to work on the movie and 2 shows is exhausting, but couldn't they have at least tried to copy the same style the show has? Sure, it might not have looked too different, but it would have at least looked decent. Just compare the intro creation to the show's intro. The differences are in plain sight, and I'm pretty sure the movie's being animated with Flash. That could just be me though. So after that animation shitfest, Morag decides to finally get off her oversized buttocks and find a way to get rid of the Louds once and for all. She finds a journal written by her ancestor that explains how she got rid of the Loud ancestors in the first place wait, I need to make sure I'm proofreading this. By using a magical staff to control the dragon and take the crown away. Hey, where did he go?
It was bound to happen at some point.
I seriously can't believe the logic and lore has dropped this low for the show. But I've already made my argument, so let's just see what happens next. I mean, at least we haven't had a song in a while, so all seems to be good. Oh wait, I shouldn't have said that. No! This is the worst song in the movie. Nay, this is the worst song in the entire series. It's not just poorly pitch corrected, I can barely hear what's being sung. The music is the equivalent of slamming fists on a piano, and I almost lost my mind for a second without paying attention to what's happening next. What the song tried horribly to explain is that Morag needs to become the Duchess in order to drive the Louds away, and I'm left wondering why the ancestor didn't do that in the first place. The entire song is about finishing the ancestor's plan, except there was no plan to speak of. All she did was take the crown away so the Louds would leave, because according to the flashback, there was a law that if the family's pet dragon takes the crown away from the Duke, that deems them unworthy. If I'm to take a moment to ignore all of this dragon and ghost ball crap, then why can't Morag just get the dragon to take the crown away from Lincoln and the townspeople would realize what that meant? They'd go home, never come back, and she'd have her peace and quiet again. But her motivation rapidly changes from wanting that to suddenly wanting to rule over the kingdom, in a desperate attempt to keep any more ancestors away. But why do that when you can just use the dragon to scare them off? Maybe if her new plan was to get rid of everyone in town so she can have permanent peace and quiet, that might have made a little more sense. But no, her plans just rapidly change on a whim in a desperate attempt to move the story forward. I know this is a kids movie, but the amount of blatant plot holes and storytelling jokes give the movie a sense of disrespect for the audience. This was still a movie written by adults, and writing a kids movie is no excuse to not try. So because the villain's now established to be a complete idiot, instead of forcing the dragon to take the crown away from Lincoln, she decides to make Lincoln humiliate himself in front of the town so they hate him. You know what? I'm glad, because the only reason he agreed to ride the dragon was because his sisters took away his precious spotlight for 3 minutes.
It's not fair. I'm the Duke. I'm supposed to be the most special out of all.
Shut up, you're so annoying!
The town gets mad at Lincoln, good, he deserves it, and decides to give up the crown, so the Louds go home. Your plan to get rid of the Louds has worked. But nope, she has the brain capacity of a badly animated polar bear, and still becomes the Duchess, which will mean nothing because the townfolk decide to abandon it. Best villain ever. Lucy's ancestor shows up with the journal that explained everything that happened, plot contrivances, which of course leads into the big action-packed climax where the Louds try to take the crown away from Morag. Why exactly? She has nothing left to rule over, so why is she fighting for the crown? Just kill them already.
Give me my happy ending!
Also, I realize I've kind of been skimming over this for a while, but the sisters rarely play a crucial part to the movie. I get writing a movie with a lot of characters in mind can be tricky, but you can't deny the sisters were a core part of what made the show so good in the first place. Yet in the movie, they're rarely in it to do anything special, purely serving as plot devices and nothing more. Was it too much to ask for some of the sisters to play a bigger role in Lincoln's character arc? They tried to do that with Lily at the start, but forget about it until the end. I understand Lincoln is the main character, and you should keep it as such, but this was always inevitable when writing a movie based on a show with a large main cast. The show can get away with this because multiple episodes are dedicated to each family member. That's not even mentioning that the siblings hardly interact that much, which was another appeal of the show. They were in a small house, they always ran into each other, but in this big castle they have so much space to do whatever they want that family dynamic and dilemmas are no longer there. So not only is this movie failing as a movie, it's failing as a movie dedicated to the show, which is a big problem. Anyway, the Louds finally defeat the villain, she gets stuck with seals, and honestly that's a better fate than being stuck with these nutbrains, and Lincoln decides to give the crown to Angus instead. Okay, that's satisfying. The only consistently likable character in the movie gets awarded the crown. I'll give you points for that. Then the ancestors randomly show up and oh my god, they all look the same as they did before. This heavily implies that they all died at that age, which, if that were the case, would mean the bloodline would have stopped. So how the heck are the Louds alive if the movie implied their ancestors died at such a young age? I mean, maybe it's the fact they like being in their young forms, but I don't know. And after all is said and done, the Louds finally decide to go home. And that was the Loud House movie.
Scotland! Finally!
Oh, the movie suddenly remembered Bobby was a thing. I don't care. Anyway, now that was the Loud House movie, and why would you give the person that tried to kill a family a second chance? Why did they make him stupid at the last minute? Why is everyone stupid now? Why do I feel dumber watching this? Okay, now that was the end of the Loud House movie, and I forgot what I was gonna say. And you know what? I don't care. Hey, where are you going? I told you in the first place that I didn't want to review the movie. When I say I'm done with something, I mean it. Besides, it's not worth doing if my comments are anything to go by.
You get comments?
And it's not just comments, Roz Trump. It feels like nowadays, whenever I say one negative thing about the show, or what it's become, or how this movie looked, I can't help but feel the whole world is out to get me, like I'm some sour spot within the group of people praising every minute of this show. And when I say how I feel about certain things, they just lash out at me.
But you get mean comments all the time. What's the difference?
Because a lot of the show's fanbase hates me. They think I'm this miserable sack of shit with nothing but a hate boner towards the show. People I used to be friends with think I'm a bad influence now. I know I was picky, and I know I said some mean things, and I wish I could take all that back. I'm sorry people see me as such a bad person. I just don't know anymore.
You want my advice? Stick to your guns. Everybody has the right to talk about whatever they want, regardless of how much they hate it. If you're getting people saying you have a hate boner towards the show, regardless of how much you try to deny that argument, that's not your fault. As far as I know, you hardly talk about the show nowadays, and you always mention how good it used to be. Would someone with a hate boner say that?
No.
Exactly. You just need to do you. It's not your fault this movie turned out the way it is.
You're right. It's not my fault. And you know what? Kids deserve better than this. I'm sure a lot of Loud House fans will love this movie, and by that I mean people who still like the show to this day. And if you do, then fine, more power to you. I'm not gonna shame you for liking something I don't. But I don't want the excuse for my disliking towards the movie to be, I'm not a fan of the show anymore, the movie's not made for me. That's a horrible excuse for making a bad movie, because no matter how much you like or dislike a show, a movie's quality is always determined on its own merits. I don't like Teen Titans Go, but I still enjoyed the movie. I like SpongeBob, but Sponge on the Run is still a dumpster fire. You can like or dislike a show any way you want, but that same mindset shouldn't carry over to a movie if it's done differently. If you ever decide to make a movie based on a cartoon, focus on making a good movie first and a movie for fans second. It's good to appease those who like the show, but there still has to be a reach to a general audience. If newcomers watch the movie and they don't like what they saw, that's not their fault. The movie just didn't do a good job at introducing them, and how can I blame them when the movie is a total mess? In an alternate reality, this movie could be really good, and you know what? The potential to make a Loud House movie is there, but it was all squandered for some really bad choices. The animation's jarringly unpolished, the characters range from annoyingly stupid to unlikably selfish, the songs are awful, and the story starts out simple but takes a nosedive into illogical territory. Even if I was a fan of the show still, the movie would do me no favors. I'm not gonna argue it's the worst movie I've ever seen because there were a few things I liked, but as far as movies based on cartoons go, it's one of the worst. It's cheap, shallow, and insulting in a lot of ways. Especially considering this studio already did great stuff like the SpongeBob movie or the Invader Zim movie, which also came out on Netflix by the way. A movie is never representative of the show's quality, but for me, the Loud House movie leaves the show with a whimper.
So did that make you feel better?
I guess.
You could always watch something to cheer you up.
Maybe I will. What are you gonna do?
Oh, I'm gonna go back on vacation. I wasn't finished. I just come back to tease you with this movie. Ever since that election, I haven't felt very relevant around here anymore. So maybe it's time I departed.
You're not gonna go forever, are you?
Oh, I'll be back. Just won't be around as commonly. See you later.
Hey y'all!